I'm gonna need you to provide us with intel about his operation.
I will come to learn a hard lesson. Every pleasure has a price.
Alex Maidy, JoBlo.com. How you two doing today?
JoBlo.com. What does
happening?
JoBlo even mean? What are we talking about?
That's an old thing, mate. That's an old expression. What are you, JoBlo?
JoBlo.
He's just
Okay.
JoBlo.
He's JoBlo.
Just any guy.
Exactly.
He's a
It's every
JoBlo.
man.
Well, you're not, Alex.
But
You're
you're
very
not.
special to us.
Very special, Alex.
And we're thrilled to talk
Thank you
to
so
happy
much.
to talk to you, Alex.
I'm very happy to talk to both of you too. And Mark, I got to say, the energy in the show, very similar to the energy you're showing me right now. And I got to ask, was there a point when they said, you're not going far enough? We need you to amp it up a little bit. Did you ever get that feedback?
That was never a
the
problem.
thing, yeah.
Never a problem, Alex. I come in with a lot of energy. I love this character. I really, I knew that the fun part of the Mutiny Club, the fun part of Hotel Cocaine was the part that I got to give life to. And so when I showed up on set, I was loaded for bear. And so that was never an issue. That was never a note. If anything, it was, maybe we take 11% off, something like that. But I had so much fun working with Danny Pino and Yul Vazquez and this unbelievable actor, Michael Chiklis, and Laura Gordon. And the show is created by Chris Brancato, who is just a brilliant writer. And so inhabiting that world and finding that energy was never an issue.
That's awesome. And I got to say, the boardroom scene with the elephant is got to
Oh my
go down as
God,
the
I'm so
best
happy
scene of
you
the
saw
year.
that.
So
Thank
good.
you. I love that scene so much. I'm so glad you liked it. Thank you for singling that out. That was literally my favorite scene of the whole season, when he's hallucinating and tripping on acid and seeing crazy things.
I gotta tell you, we all lived in the same place. There's like a big,
In Juan Dolio, at our
this hotel.
the Hemingway.
It's not really a hotel. It's like a set thing. The condos, like sleepaway camp. We're all in our our dorms, right?
You'd be waving from your
exactly
terrace.
from our terrace.
Yeah.
So we all would go down every night. It was a very great bonding experience for the group. We really became like a family on it. So but when someone's just killing it, when consistently the other cast members come together and we're all at that table and people are going, "Did you see today? Did you see what he did?" And that's this guy was just crushing it the whole time, because I've never seen a portrayal quite like his character. I mean, it's so nuanced, and it is equally as huge and over the top as it is quiet and nuanced and emotional and vulnerable. And that's really, really rare. And it was just wonderful to watch. And it was great to hear people talk about it and buzz about it amongst just the cast. And that's, it was just a blast.
Thank you so much, Mike.
And we were in the Dominican Republic, on a beach. So that
You can't beat that. And Michael, for you've played law enforcement before. You've played cops, you've played all that. You've done it so well. In this one, what do you think was what put this over the top as a distinct character? Was it the hat? Was it the mustache? Was it something else?
And that's part of it. Definitely part of it. But, different time, different world, different set of circumstances. There was enough in it, but I was reluctant, honestly. I'm very reluctant whenever law enforcement roles come my way, because I have been very fortunate and I've been able to play characters like Vic Mackey and Tony Scally on The Commish and others. And I'm sort of like, but this was very, very decidedly different, especially regarding the time period and the circumstances, and where this guy's from and what he represents to this story and his sort of part in it, the way he sort of figures into all of it.
And I got to tell you, Chris Brancato shared with me behind the scenes that, when he first conceived of this role, he was a DEA agent who forces Danny Pino's character to get into a lot of hot water, but that in the hands of a, normal actor would have been fine, serviceable. In the hands of Michael Chiklis, it becomes an entire world unto itself, Zulio's world. And I was on set when we shot the 8th episode and the scene where things happen in his life that are, not the best.
Wow. And
he just came in like a charging bull. You can't imagine inhabiting that level of rage and vulnerability, and that's just what he brings to the table.
And you two are fantastic. I'm now going to say we got to get Zulio's World as a spinoff. Hope you two have a great day. Thank you so much for your time.
Maybe next to JoBlo. JoBlo.com.
There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
All right, enough of the silent treatment. Let's talk about this class you skipped.
This whole confirmation thing is about me becoming a soldier of Christ. But how is that possible if I think it's all bullshit?
You know, it's not bullshit.
Really?
Really.
What kind of God sends teenagers out to die in some stupid war in Vietnam? Or lets the world create a bomb that can annihilate us all?
This series is a blast. And the three of you are really, really good here. And I wanted to start with Tania. A lot of times in stories like this, the home life, that element of it is just kind of a requirement for the storytelling, but it's really integral to this tale. And your character is just doesn't kind of back down. There's really a lot of focus on that relationship and holding Roman accountable. How did you figure out how to play this character?
Well, for me, this that you just said, I find it very interesting that sometimes when you see stories that are similar to this, the wife figure is used to, usually doesn't know what's going on. And in this case, right from the get-go, Marisol is kind of a part of it, at least in her knowledge. Then, I mean, no spoilers, but then eventually, obviously, there's going to be more conflict in her relationship with Roman. But I think that's what makes it so interesting. And also the fact that she, because you would think maybe to make like a strong female character, you would want her to be more aggressive towards it and more conflicted. But I think she always chooses kindness and love. However, still not just letting everything slide, you know? She's still present and very much aware that Valeria needs to be safe. So if Roman is not gonna do that, I better step in, you know?
Yeah, so and Corina, to that same point though, Valeria doesn't really have that same knowledge and is going through this with a certain perspective of who her father is. Things obviously change as the season goes on. What was it like for you as the intensity for this character ramps up?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, she's very naive. She doesn't really know what's going on, or she truly believes that her dad is a good man and he's honest, and because I feel like that's how she grew up. Like that's how he always taught her to be honest. So I think she kind of, I feel like she gets upset when she starts to notice different things, different shifts in his behavior, because she is very attentive and curious. And I think that it was very interesting, like reading the scripts and the episodes and seeing a shift in herself. Yeah.
And Laura, you were fantastic in Late Night with the Devil, by the way. And I love that same era, but big difference here. I think
big difference.
I don't know how many different outfits you wear over the course of this series, and not any two are alike. And it's like the outfits are a character unto themselves, but in a lot of series similar to this as well, this role is one that is often not as strong of a character, and it's somebody that's just kind of there and is kind of in a way like the godmother to all the girls that are working at the club. But this character is a force, takes some very serious actions early on, and is really key to this whole story. But I was just a little surprised at how emotional this character can be over the course, like investing in emotionally, that it's not just superficial, that as each episode goes on, I started to think, is there an undercurrent of something that we're going to find out more about this character? So I guess the question for you is, how early on did you know what the whole arc was going to be from episode 1 towards the end?
Oh, that's a good question, because now I'm trying to think back. How many scripts did we have at the start? We didn't have more. No, I got to Dominican Republic to film. and I think we just had the first episode. So I didn't know her backstory. A lot of it, I sort of didn't know, but I do feel like even in the pilot, she was set up that there was stuff happening underneath the surface, and there were already the relationships were there were hints of things that I felt were like exciting enough to me to want to flesh out. And I think that she's an interesting character to me because she is the den mother and she is the confidant to Roman, and also to Burton Greenberg, the owner of the hotel. But because of her history and the damage that she sort of received and the abuse in, these really horrible scenarios, I don't think she has as much of a sense of control over her actions as she believes that she does. So when people like Roman, when they're really threatened, I think that she finds herself in territory she never could have imagined. And she surprises herself by the lengths that she'll go to. And so that to me made her a really dynamic and surprising character that I liked that she was surprising herself and therefore myself as well.
Awesome. Well, all three of you are fantastic. This series would not be as good if it wasn't for the three of you. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much. It's beautiful. Thank you.
I want you to meet Chucho's family. This is Catalina, his wife, and his children, Rosa and Manuel. This is mi hermano, Roman. This is the man that helped me save Chucho.
Gracias.
Va a estar bien.
Escucha, cuando Chucho se despierte en el ICU y lo muevan, yo lo voy a sacar de ahí. Hasta la cañona, si lo tengo que hacer. ¿Me entiendes?
Yul, I got to start with you. You were on one of my favorite shows ever, Magic City, that ended way too soon. And yes, eerily, this is kind of like a twisted mirror version of Roman's character on that show. You got the hotel element, you got the exile from Cuba element to it. You're playing this character here. He's not an evil guy. I think it's easy to kind of relegate these drug dealer, drug kingpin stereotypes into being evil, but he's not. He's got more layers to it. What did you pull from in order to play him more as a person than a caricature?
Honestly, I try to work with what's in front of me. You know, I have tremendous love for Danny as a person, as an artist, as an actor, and I just took. You take the layers, you take the filters that you've been handed by the text, and then you work, and then you just take what's in the room with you. You know what I mean? You can't, and you build the three-dimensional sort of thing. Nobody is one thing. You know what I mean? So I that's really all I try to do, because I think if that's plenty, you know, I don't think it's about trying to gild the lily. I know it sounds like a cliche answer, but that really is the honest answer.
But I know the question wasn't for me, but I also feel the same way. I have an incredible amount of disrespect and contempt towards Yul. So I just use that in my character to be able to fuel the way he feels about his brother.
There you go.
You're very lucky to have that. It's fantastic. And Danny,
So
Danny, I gotta say, this was a rough role. I mean, there's double, triple, quadruple crosses. You're getting pulled in so many different directions. Roman's got the weight of his past. He's got the challenges with his brother. You've got the things at the hotel, his daughter, all of it. Where do you center this character from? Obviously, family, his daughter is central. Is that kind of the starting point to find who Roman was?
You have, you know, your finger right on the pulse of it. You know, being a father myself of two boys, that's his nucleus. His center is as a father. You know, he has all of this other backstory, this volatility in his life, being a part of, you know, the Bay of Pigs invasion, being trained by the CIA clandestinely in Nicaragua, his absolute love and reverence for his brother, his older brother, in Nestor, which, you know, I also emulate between myself and Yul Vazquez, the person. You know, I look up to him. He's somebody I absolutely admire and respect, somebody who I've wanted to work with on this kind of level for a long time. So how you do it is exactly what Yul is saying. When you're surrounded by people like Yul Vazquez or Michael Chiklis or Mark Feuerstein or Laura Gordon, you start to piece things together, where Tania Watson comes in with, a amazing portrayal for Marisol, or Corina Bradley, playing my daughter. And then you start to bring that together with Guillermo Navarro at the helm and Chris Brancato writing, with Michael Payne's the scripts, and you realize that you're not alone, that you're creating this as a collaborative team, and it makes for a dynamic, dangerous, attractive show.
And everybody's so great. The two of you have a phenomenal dynamic. I believed you as brothers. It's really enjoyable. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much.
We give each other wedgies like offset and stuff.
Yeah,
it really helps the dynamic.
Awesome. Love it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know how you can stand being a part of this freak show every night.
Well, for a guy who hates his freak show, you're here a lot.
What are you, fucking with me? This place is a goddamn cornucopia of information. I could tell if someone brought in the load by how many cases of champagne they ordered.
You want me here for a reason, or you're just lonely?
Came to brighten your evening.
You suck at that.
About a year ago, some cooked-up Peruvians rescued their boss out of a hospital room in Dade County, and I wouldn't put it past your brother to do something that ballsy. Give him a call. Tell him you heard from one of your bozos here at the club that the DEA, they doubled protection on Chucho.
Watching this series, the question that came to mind was, from a marketing standpoint, were you intentionally trying to avoid this being Narcos Miami? Like, were you going in a different direction with the story from the get-go to differentiate this from being, oh, it's another show from the guys who did Narcos?
Well, 1000%. First of all, the genesis of this story came from Roman Compte's real-life son, who told me about his father's experience there. Now, we had to fictionalize elements of it. Like, for instance, Roman Compte did not have a heavy drug trafficking older brother, though Roman dealt with drug traffickers left and right at the Mutiny. And frankly, the only connection to Narcos is, they say on the poster, it's from the guy who co-created Narcos. And Narcos was a different beast. One thing that Narcos did influence was the fact that when I said to this network, hey, when they talk in Spanish, we're going to subtitle it. Is that okay? They were like, of course it's okay. You did that on Narcos, and so that was nice. But other than that, this is the user side to some degree. This is the Miami side. I'm sure Eric Newman, my friend, is developing Narcos, Timbuktu, and Narcos Florida. But the fact is, this is a different beast. This is actually a character story about a man who gets caught in a terrible vice, and the people around him, how they're affected. And it's a story about two brothers. So one of whom may be more ruthless than the other. We don't know which just yet. So that's kind of Narcos connection. It only has to do with the fact that we worked on both.
And years and years ago, going back decades, in Hollywood, when you made a movie that had characters who spoke Spanish, it didn't matter if they were from Argentina or from Spain or from Mexico, because this is Cuban characters. Was it important to cast authentic Cuban or people with Cuban heritage for the roles?
It was a must. It was a must. I have suffered the consequences of many of those things where we're all the same, like there are no cultural differences, accents, etc., etc. So for me, it was crucial to cast the two brothers as Cuban Americans. Not only because it had to, but they bring to the table the experience of being that, right? So they know what it's like to be a Cuban American in Florida, what it's like to do that. And they're part of this incredible cultural contribution that a Latin experience has affected the American life, at least in Florida. So there's no Miami without that culture now.
And then we also decided, well, every other Latin character, whoever we cast, will make the character that person's real background. So, for instance, Tania Watson, who plays Roman's girlfriend Marisol, is from Madrid, and so she's from Madrid on the show, and immigrated to the U.S. So now I think actors should be allowed to play virtually anything that they can play well. But in this particular case, it was important to us to follow it straight.
And the inclusion of the celebrity-like cameo characters that appear in the series, and I gotta say, the Hunter Thompson one is absolutely amazing. I loved it. The performance is spot on. The way that he's characterized, it's just great. Was it important for you, Guillermo, in those scenes especially, to not make it like a joke, to have them in here as authentically as possible?
It was a challenge, absolutely. All the celebrities that are portrayed in the show are lookalikes, but they're all were there at the mutiny at some point in their lives.
Yeah, we didn't make up any celebrity who
so
was
Lisa
there.
Minnelli was there, the Led Zeppelin guy, everybody. Yeah. So then we researched that very well.
And you did a great job. And the last question I had for you.
The guy who plays Hunter S. Thompson is Artie Bucco on The Sopranos. It's Johnny Ventimiglia.
It's like night and day difference, though. He looks so good. The last question I had for you is, it's a very serious story, very serious subject matter. Mark is absolutely hilarious. Was there any point where you said, all right, Mark, you need to pull it back a little bit, or was it go as far as you can?
To be honest with you, our very good friend Michael Wright, who runs MGM Plus, acted as the Mark Wrangler, which is to say, we would hand over a cut, and Michael might come back and say, hey, like for instance, there's one sequence where Mark, after we've cut from it, so you don't, but like he goes into some hysterical monologue or something, and Michael says, hey, Michael was concerned that the comedy. He appreciated we were doing that, but he was worried that it might infringe upon the drama of the Scarfacian drama we were telling, and so that was a constant discussion, a friendly discussion between us. So we had a governor. I mean, I might have let it go a little further, but Michael was a very good governor for hey, just maybe don't include the wildest take of him, etc. But yes, he's brilliant. He's brilliant, and I think the show benefits from that little bit of levity.
Also, I would add that it's not only the comedy side of him. I think that it was also important to see that he represents also the American unaware of what it takes for him to consume it. And that is a very important storyline of the show. There is violence behind it. There's people that suffer. There's people that die in the process. And if you're just enjoying the party and you think that comes in a can and you open it, right? Then that's him too. So that humor or that disconnectivity, let's say, with the reality, he belongs to his own world, his own reality. That's his life, no? And the club and the show and blah, blah, blah. And the celebrities, and so he's in the middle of all that. But he also is a very important mirror to understand the complete
ignorance of most American users.
The innocence, no?
Yeah. Amazing. Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. Can't wait for people to check out the show.
Excellent. Thank you.